G'day legends, it's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here. Before we get stuck into another great interview brought to you by Crannk.com and thatmetalstation.com, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and that way you can keep up to date with all the best music and interviews from all over the world. Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crank.com and with thatmetalstation.com. And tonight, wherever you are in the world, I'm getting to have a chat with one of my favorite Canadians, Matt Hanchuck of Rectify, Gutter Creek, and man, super cool dude. Matt, how have you been, my friend?
Great. Thanks for having me back on, man.
No, absolute pleasure, man. I'm digging the Gutter Creek, man. We kind of talked about that a little bit with the last couple of interviews. So I was super stoked to get my hands on this Gutter Creek album and give it a good play, man. First off, man, tell me all about Gutter Creek, kind of where it come from and the members and that.
Well, the idea behind it was just, as a musician, I just wanted to find a different palette other than the thrash stuff, because I listen to everything. I have such a vast, an abundance of music that I draw inspiration from, that I kind of wanted to write a record that had nothing to do with the Rectify sound, but still metal, because that's kind of what's in my blood, as a musician. So, but the goal was to keep it separate in terms of a sonic approach. So it'd be more accessible to like a 70s, sort of an 80s kind of rock kind of vibe versus that pummeling thrash metal vibe that Rectify encompasses. So, and obviously, as you know, it's a completely different band than what's involved in the Rectify makeup. So yeah, Derrick Kroll being the drummer. Funny enough, I'm funny. I wish Derrick would have zoomed in for this, because
I've interviewed Derrick before.
Yeah, Derrick's a pretty prolific player too, right? He runs the gamut from satanic black metal to what we're doing, right? So we've got a great, so everything, and then shred instrumental with his buddy Scott Coker there from Manitoba, phenomenal guitar player, right? He's got everything, all the pendulums of music from one end to the other covered in terms of what he wants to partake in. So he'd be an interesting brain to pick as to what he thinks of this project. But for me, it was like it was a musical cathartic outlet, and I had to have the right guys to do it with. Derrick's a schooled musician. He's a really good drummer. He's got he's a drum teacher. I mean, he's very prolific in his learning too. So he'll take on stuff like the track Hell Rider, which was essentially a swing song, more or less. And he could offer that with a sideways kind of metal approach to it, which is what that song still is, a swing metal song, which is kind of cool, right? It's our own thing. But anyways, that Derrick was such a versatile drummer that I knew he would breathe life into the tracks. And then I think you might know this, that originally Warren Conditi, originally from Whiplash, New Jersey based Whiplash. We were working with Warren, Derrick and I. Warren had actually demoed a couple tracks, completely different incarnations of what these songs were going to sound like.
Yep.
I have a couple of the demos, and I'm never going to release them without Warren's approval, obviously. And they're not mixed either, but they sound more like Velvet Revolver. Not necessarily a bad thing, but too commercial.
Yep.
It was too commercial, like the direction that Warren kind of saw with this. So, and the funny thing is, never asked him to step away. He just kind of removed himself from the project. That said, it wasn't really working out anyway. So the only reason I'm mentioning this is because I've had people ask me what happened to Warren, because I posted it before the album came out. That's who we were working with. So it's kind of my fault for stringing people along, I guess, in the original phase, and I'm not one to air out any dirty laundry, and there really isn't any. There's no bad blood. I still talk to Warren, but the direction that he was going with the vocals was not the direction that at that time, the three of us, Justin was still part of the band at that time, Justin Steer. So he was actually a member at that point still. So the three of us, we're essentially the nucleus of that band. We were trying to find a singer. We found Warren. Warren agreed to do it, and then we just weren't. The ideas were. His lyrics were great. They were awesome. They were killer. They were just really deep stuff. But the approach that he took was just vastly different from what you're hearing today with what Soren brought to the table, which was more of just a genuine ode to old school rock vibe. You know, that's what Soren kind of did. He brought the
new wave of traditional heavy metal, I think you call it, isn't it? One of those genres.
Yeah, you know what? It's
a little bit of that mixed in there, some power metal. It was bloody a great listen, man.
I've seen people compare it to everything from Wasp to Dio. Well, Dio is kind of obvious. I mean, I hope it's obvious. I love Dio. And No Slave Religion is my ode. That is my ode to Dio, songwriter. So if you're digging that track and you see the comparisons, I'm glad, because that's mission accomplished. Yeah, it's not a ripoff; it's an homage, man. Yeah. Anyway, so Derrick had the epiphany and said, because we were racking our brains, we could have, I know you've heard this from me before. It's really hard to find quality musicians where I am in Canada here. This isn't the hotbed, this isn't Vancouver. This isn't Montreal where I am. It's pretty isolated. So there's not a lot of talent, man. And I don't mean that rudely, because there is talent, but it's limited. And chances are, if you're a talented musician, you probably already got a gig on the go that you're committed to. So the Soren thing, the reason that Soren, we ended up with a singer from Denmark was just simply, we started rooting through our CD collection essentially. And Derrick said, hey, what about Søren Adamsen from Artillery, right? And without hesitation, it didn't even dawn on me at first to consider him. But when he mentioned it, it was like a light bulb just went, and I was like, yeah, Soren, man, absolutely. That guy rocks, So, and he looks cool as hell. He's all tatted up, and he likes to kickbox. He keeps fit stuff. So he's gonna rock the stage cards, be a great front man, So yeah, looking forward to doing shows with him. We're trying to iron out some logistics with Derrick, but we are definitely putting the project into show mode. We're gonna play some shows in Canada for sure. So I'm essentially homeless right now, so I need to go on the road.
Need to go on the road and play some bloody shows, man. Yeah, that would be cool.
I need a place to stay. Yeah.
I actually seen that post as well. And then when you mentioned a while ago that you'd had Soren come on board from Artillery, like I'd know Artillery as well. So I was like super excited to kind of hear where this went. So now you got your finalized lineup and everything for Gutter Creek, Matt. What was it like making the album? Tell us a little bit about that whole process of songwriting. Was it a matter of you sitting down with the guitar and that and working out?
You know what, man? Okay. So, and that's the other thing. Like, I think we touched on this last time we spoke about Rectify, but the difference is a Gutter Creek album writes itself in a week. You know what I mean? Like the songs are they're just basically, it's, I don't know what it is, man. It's like a one fell swoop. They just kind of write, they're really simplistic in terms of comparing them to the structures of a Rectify song, you know, where, you're playing you a click track and it's just, it's like math metal. I'm always counting when I'm recording and shit for time changes and stuff. Where the Gutter Creek stuff, it's all feel driven. Like it's got a groove to it. There's a human essence to it. It doesn't have that mechanical, that military cadence. It's got more of a warmth to it, and which gives it more of a humanity. So I don't know. I find I get something a little different out of it. I'm not going to suggest that I prefer it to Rectify. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is I get something completely different out of it, and it's equally as rewarding, if you will. So. You know what I mean? For me, the songwriting was really simple on this record. And the next Gutter Creek album is done. And it's much heavier than this one, but it's still within that 70s, 80s vibe. You know what I mean? Like if you like Mob Rules, Black Sabbath, then you'll like the next Gutter Creek too. Because it's got that kind of, dehumanizer kind of vibe, like the Sabbathy kind of riffs going on purpose. Soren's a massive Sabbath fan. He's a massive Kiss fan. 70s Kiss, right? Retro Kiss. Who isn't? If you aren't, get your head out of the sand.
That's it. That comes on the radio. You're not human if you can't help but fucking sing along to that. That's for sure.
Sure, man. Absolutely. Who doesn't like Strutter? So on that note, can I show off something on your show here?
Yeah,
Show
definitely.
this off? Yeah. So here's the
Oh, the
vinyl from Doc Gator Records, and there was 200 of the black limited, and then they did, I believe they did three different colors at 100 each.
Oh wow.
And then they did this blood. Did you see the blood vinyl?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
How good is that?
Gross.
Kind of.
I just want to know whose fucking blood it is. Someone whose blood it is. No, I'm kidding. Probably food coloring in water, but yeah, it's super cool. It looks really killer. It's obviously a novelty item. I don't have one. I asked the label if I could score one. Hopefully I can, but they only pressed like 28 of them, and I think only 20 were for sale, or 25 or something. So
nice. Yeah. How good is vinyl?
Yeah, man, the only thing I wanted to mention is there's a bonus track on the CD that isn't on the LP.
Yep.
That's not to increase the sale of the CD. It's for time limitations.
Yeah.
But you see the bottom of the CD there? I don't know if you can see that. It's Heart of Gold.
Heart of Gold.
Heart of Gold.
Hell yeah.
So that's I don't know if it's even on the Spotify link. I don't think it is.
Nah.
The bonus.
See, that's why it pays to get that's why it pays to get physicals. You know what I mean? It's great to sit there and, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's like, yeah, get them fucking streams. We got to get on their Spotify playlist. Yeah, that's great. That's fucking awesome. But it's also great to get out there and buy albums. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get these little things, like you just got there, the Heart of Gold track, that's the bonus track on the album, that you're not going to get unless you go out and buy the actual physical. And to be able to have those physicals for you guys must really be cool. But also with the vinyl, it must be great for you to see these albums like the Gutter Creek one on vinyl, the Rectify one, because for me, I love vinyl. It's an old school medium, but it's also something about someone who buys vinyl. You know what I mean? They're a real fan, they actually give a fuck. And then for that, listening for vinyl, like I keep saying it, when you put the vinyl in, you're kind of really connected to the music. For me, I put my record in, and you're listening to it, you know, right through to that first half of the record. You're stopping, you're turning it over, you're getting the next half of the album, and you're really connected to the album. Like, for me, it was when I got this album, Gutter Creek. I know I go on a lot about it with these interviews, and I bang on a lot about it. But listening to whole albums, for me, as a young metalhead, as a young kid, when I'd get an album, I probably would have heard one song from a band. I'd put the album in, and I'd listen to it over and over and over again to get that into your head. And then your favorite track would change. You know what I mean? One track could be your favorite that week. The next one, you kind of just find yourself gravitating towards another one. It's an experience that some people do forget what a joy it is to listen to fucking whole albums.
I'm with you on that. And you know what? Just sonically, I mean, it's hard to explain to someone that doesn't know what a high fidelity, you know, $2,000 stylus sounds like on a 180 gram piece of wax.
Yeah.
People, you know what I mean? If you're not a purist to that sound, you'll never appreciate it. I hate that compressed digital sound, like this, you know, the fucking MP3. So I can't stand that sound, you know, but it is what it is. You know, there's a reason for it. When we do, when we're recording music, everything's done in WAV and MP3. It is what it is, you know, but for me to sit at home, man, I won't walk around with an iPod or my phone and just download Spotify. Did I just age myself and say iPod? You know what? I'm all about the vinyl, man. I'm with you, brother. So do I somewhere.
I used to have a little CD Walkman, Matt. And before that, it was a little tape cassette fucking Walkman.
Yeah. I still got a Sony Discman somewhere. I had a Walkman. Listen, I'll tell you something funny. I had a tape player when I was a kid. I can't remember the make of it. Probably Panasonic or some Chinese, you know, cheap plastic thing. Every time I would put a tape in it, it would play the tape just slightly faster than the actual recording. So I learned a lot of stuff off that thing that was like just a little bit quicker, that the voices were a tad higher. Sound like there was like maybe a couple gerbils in the background singing. I don't know, like the technology, man, back in the day. Anyways,
You briefly mentioned, Matt, playing live. How's that going with Gutter Creek? I know you said you're trying to get something together for playing live. How's that going, man? And what's your plans on that?
Well, I'm currently in Winnipeg right now,
Yeah.
and I'm doing rehearsals with Derrick pretty much weekly or every other week, and we're tight, man. Like we're tighter than your grade 6 underwear. Okay? Trust me, this band is fucking rock solid. It's just a matter of having the logistics ironed out with Soren to come over.
Yeah.
But Soren's game. Like Soren wants to get here as soon as he can. So, and the only hitch right now is actually Derrick's got to get some time straightened out in his work schedule. But we're looking at probably
his 20 bands and everything else he does.
Well, that's just it. He's not touring either, like with any of his bands, because he's got his child and he's a single father, raising his kid.
Yeah.
So like he's got priorities. Life happens, right? But you know what I mean? If Soren's going to make the trek across the pond, being the Atlantic Ocean, we're going to hang out. We're going to make a rehearsal DVD, if you will, and we're going to make some behind the scenes shit. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll trek our trip down the Trans-Canada Highway along the North Shore of Lake Superior and all the shows. We'll play like probably half a dozen little hick towns, and it's more of a just to honor the record and play some shows. And then we're going to record everything. We're going to have people record everything through the soundboard so we can maybe put together a quality live DVD, So, or just something we can load onto YouTube for the fans for free. I don't fucking care. It's just a matter of getting the exposure because, we owe it to enough people that have asked for it for a live show. So, I mean, if we can't get to another country, the next best thing to do would be to play here, record it, capture it, and then do it properly. You get in proper audio edits so that it, do it through the board so it's quality, get it mixed, and then you can release that to those people that'll probably never ever get to see Gutter Creek, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's an opportunity for them to just embrace the live element, like we did as kids, right? We couldn't go see these bands fucking Vakken and all these, but there was videos, right? That allow us to experience it anyway, one way or another. It's like watching UFC from home, man. You're still watching UFC.
Yeah, I do, dude. That's one thing I do watch a lot of.
And you don't have a drunk asshole behind you puking over top.
Yeah, a lot more comfortable sitting on my couch, down in a coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching the UFC, or watching some music. I was the same, man. I brought a ton of live DVDs when I was younger. Now it's more the YouTube. I think you jump over to YouTube and you can watch your live concerts through that, which is really cool to have that medium. I do want to touch on Rectify. Now we've talked about Gutter Creek, man. How's things going with Rectify?
Rectify.
I got to talk about it. I can't chat to you, Matt, as well and not talk about both the bands you got going on. Plus, I want to add in there the playing live, man. If you guys play live, you can just about between you and Derrick, you don't need any support bands. You just go bring all the fucking bands you've got going, then you're fine.
Yeah, the Rectify is doing great. Like I said, I told everybody, and I fucking meant it, man. I actually meant it. I wasn't going to do another Rectify album after Dissecting the Leach.
Yeah.
And then everything shut down again for me, like with work stuff changed and just everything changed. And I had all this fucking time again. And I was like, well, I'm a terrible golfer. I told you that. So I pick up my guitar and I start playing. And unfortunately, I just, a little bit of frustration with stuff. It filters through well for the Rectify stuff, the catharsis of writing under stress and duress and just tension you feel, everyday tension and stress. It's a good release. And you know what? I was able to conjure up 6 tracks that I was like, now I don't want to be like, you tap yourself on the shoulder with the quality of the stuff you're writing, but you have to be subjective. Just like if it sucks, you got to say that song's not cutting the mustard. Like I'd written almost 30 tracks for the last ensemble of music, and we used 10. And actually, Greg Christian, Greg's contributed a song to the new Rectify album. He wrote a song. He wrote all the music. And it's going to be the title track, Dissecting the Leach. I've been asking guys for a couple albums, you guys want to contribute anything, and no one ever did. And then I was talking to Greg, and I said, how's everything going with your stuff? Like, what you've been writing anything? Because he's pretty prolific dude, Greg. Eh?
Yeah.
He was he's back with Trauma, and then he's got his power shift thing he was doing, and and Trinity Fallen not that long ago. So, and in Testament for a better part of his life. Yeah, like the guys, yeah, he's been working in music his whole life. So, he's got some riffs in the closet, right?
Yeah.
Case in point, he sent me an MP3 of a drum track with a bass line. And it was thrash, but it was like completely not something I would have wrote. So I was listening to it. I'm like, man, that is interesting. And that would fit as long as the lyrical content matched, the Rectify parallels, right? Yep. So I asked Greg, I said, it's his baby. I said, do you mind if I, well, obviously throw some sort of guitar solo down on it or something, but do you mind if I write the lyrics for this and the vocal melodies? And he's like, have at it, man. So it's like, perfect. So this is the first record. Dissecting the Leach will be the first record where there's a song that was written by someone else other than myself. And I'm so happy about that, because it's going to broaden the sound, I think. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. There's only so much any musician can create. Yeah. The most prolific musicians on the planet, at the end of the day, are limited, right? Maybe not Zappa, maybe not Frank Zappa, but the rest of us. No, but you know what I mean, right? It's going to give some diversity to the sound sonically. So, but anyways, and then I had a few tracks that I'd written that I thought were really, really strong, and then I continued on, and then I started writing some of the lyrics for the last remaining tracks on Dissecting the Leach, and my mindset had changed again. I started reading the lyrics back to myself, and I'm like, it's kind of like different from the rest of the 7 songs, these last few songs. So I thought, okay, but these are really strong lyrics. So the next record after Dissecting the Leach will be called Rise of the Vigilante. And it's a completely different path. I'll send you the artwork, guy. I'll send you the artwork.
Yeah, man, do it. That's cool. It must be fun for you as a musician. I know I mentioned this before, but to collaborate. I love that not only are you super busy and motivated, you collaborate with all these great artists all over the world. It must be great for you as a musician, and the childhood metalhead in you working with all these great musicians all over the world. It must be fun for you to have these collaborations with all these great artists, vocalists and bassists and guitarists and musicians from everywhere.
Yeah, and they actually, most of them turn into like friendships, because like we're all one of the same. We're all of the same flock, or all the same blood, or whatever you want to call it. It's I guess the flock would make us all sheep. The same blood. At the end of the day, man, these people that actually, as you bring that up, the new stuff we're working on for Dissecting the Leach, album number 5, Genevieve from Temptress is on it.
Yeah, I interviewed her as well.
Track. And then, oh, cool. And then Amanda Kiernan, she sang for Into Eternity for a little while when Stu Block left to play in Iced Earth. Yeah. And she was in a band called Order of Chaos, which is really, really progressively difficult technical metal band in Canada, in Edmonton area in Canada, Alberta rather. Anyways, Amanda brought some magic to this record too. Both of them, Genevieve, what she did was her power metal falsetto stuff. It was kind of like almost like a KK versus Glenn solo off in a classic Priest track where they're going back and forth. That's kind of the vibe I got from Wags and Genevieve. You know what I mean? It was like it was like Godzilla and you know what I mean? Going back and forth, with the vocals. Yeah, like I'm not trying to one up each other, but just pushing each other. Like it was really awesome to hear. And that's being mixed. It's not finished, that track, but the tracks with Amanda are finished. And see, that contrast came in the way of like vocally, like Amanda did everything from like guttural. She did Into Eternity stuff, right? So like Angela Gasso, Arch Enemy type vocals, to like super angelic, really good vocals. But a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot of people, but some people might not know, she's got a mid-range that's like a Lizzie Hale thing going on, and to me it's mind-blowing. Like that's what she brought to the Rectify. I said, it's like Wags is the beast. You're the beauty. This is Beauty and the Beast. You guys put it together and it's going to be amazing. And it turned out that way. It really did. You know, it's got like a sexy tone that comes in, and Wags has got that angry guttural, you know, approach to it. And between the two of them, it worked out perfect, man. So these are the best Rectify songs. To have this many great songs on one album, for sure, man. Like, I don't know what record is going to be anyone's favorite record. Who knows, right? And but I can say that as a songwriter, there's just so much more that's been achieved on this record, especially with the hooks and the melodies, you know. And those were crafted intentionally; they're not by mistake, you know. So it was a lot of focus on the melodies. Look, I'll put it to you this way: I'm a guitar player first and foremost, right? I'm all in favor of 2-minute guitar solos. This record, I don't think I've tracked. I think I tracked one solo because I wanted these songs perfect before I even thought about guitar solos. It was a completely different approach this time. Everything had to be perfect, man. You know, staying at a prolific pace like Rectify is doing. If you don't keep pushing the envelope, it's going to run stale really fast. I can tell you bands that are prolific that are super fucking stale, and people still revere them for their first 2 or 3 records because of that. You know what I mean? Their last 10, 15 records don't mean anything, because when they get invited to play festivals or whatever, they're headlining these big gigs. They want to hear album 1, 2, and 3, or you know what I mean? Their album just.
I'm an Aussie, and people are going to shoot me, but AC/DC is a perfect example. I'm sorry, all AC/DC fans, and don't deport me from Australia, but fuck, man, you first 3 albums, 4 albums, I love, man, but from there it was just the same fucking thing over and over. Brian Johnson done that first album with them, and then it was the same every single album from there on.
I would say the only band that I love that I would say that they should probably adhere to that would be Kiss. After about 1987, don't play anything.
Don't play anything. Exactly. And that's one thing that your albums...
Maybe a couple songs, 1 or 2 off Revenge, and maybe, what's that grunge record they did? 95. I can't remember the name of it. Jungle was the track off that. It was actually pretty cool. I didn't mind that record anyway.
Well, that's one thing with you. You've always pushed, and with your albums from that Fragments of Anger, like The World Enslaved. And even when I had a chat with you about, I think it was We Got You Covered, I think it was around the time last time I had a chat with you, and we're talking about you'd done The World Enslaved and you're going to on to the next one, I think. And you were like, dude, this is good, but wait till the fucking one following this one. I like that you're always pushing yourself as a musician. You're not just going, okay, and I'm happy with where I am. And that's kind of the ethos I go. You always want to push yourself a little bit more. You can always be better today than you were yesterday. And that's one thing as a musician I noticed with all your albums, you're always pushing, striving, and fucking excited about the future, man. And when I had a chat with Wags about The World Enslaved, he's like, man, this was good, this is fun, but wait till the fucking next album. I'm so excited about the next one as well, which was really cool. So it must have been, it sounds like it was a lot of fun making this next one for you guys.
Well, you know what, man, I gotta say, like, you've said it a few times about how amazing it is to work and network with all these amazing musicians, but my biggest blessing has been able to work with vocalists like Wags, you know, and Randall, and guys that can like do it better than most people. They can do it better than most others that do this type of thing, man. Like Wags is like a fucking, he could sing for Priest, man. Like the guy is that good. He's powerful. He's amazing. Like he's an incredible vocalist. And you know, working with those guys, I want to exploit their abilities. You know, that's Remnants of Pain didn't have that because I didn't recognize that. And I realized when I was writing the songs for Powers That Be, I wanted to incorporate. That's how songs like Scumlord came about, because I'd sat in a studio and I'd heard Aaron mimicking Alice in Chains, you know, and we goof off and do the harmonies back and forth. And it's like, fuck, man, he can really do that. Like he can do Lane Staley like Lane Staley. So that's how those parts were written. You know what I mean? That's what, and I can do that. So when those Halfordy parts come in, or those Blackie Lawless parts come in, that's on purpose, because it's not it's Wags' own way of doing it, you know, but that's what we refer to it as the Halford scream, or, you know, the Blackie scream. Sounds like, where's that part where you're choking razor blades and screaming like the Blackie scream, you know? You know, you can do it all, man. And you know, God willing, the guy can continue to hold his pipes for a few more, another decade or two. And, you know, hopefully he's the final singer forever for Rectify, you know. Yeah, you know, when he walks away, I don't know if I would have the patience to go through trying to find a replacement for Wags, man. You
Yeah,
know,
well,
so I'm taking advantage of that too, right? That's when I don't, well, I'm not naive to it. Like, none of us are spring chickens, right?
No.
Like, I'm the youngest guy, and I'm in my mid 40s, you know. So no, seriously, you know.
Yeah.
So the you know, time doesn't move back, it moves forward, and life happens, right? Who knows what tomorrow brings, you know. So Wags is in top form right now. Like, if you listen to these tracks, I'll send you some tracks when the interview's over. I'll send you some mixes. I think I've got 5 or 6 back. I'll send you some. But that's why another reason that pushed me to keep writing is because Wags sounds great. He sounds better now than he did on World Enslaved. He really does, man. His voice is in shape now. It's in shape. He'll tell you himself. I'm not slagging the guy. I love his voice, but he'll tell you himself he sounds better on this record than he did on World Enslaved. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did when I had a chat with him.
With the exception of, he was proud of it.
Yeah, he was really excited about this album. He said it was great to do what he done with the World Enslaved because he just come on board. But he said with this album, he felt like he had more of an input and he was more comfortable. I think I'm paraphrasing here, but he was, you know, he was more into this album. He was able to let go a little bit more. And he said he was super proud and super excited for this forthcoming album with you, man.
And he really liked the idea of having additional vocalists. Stu Block sings a few, actually sings a whole verse on one of the songs, and he actually contributed lyrics to it, Stu, you know. So Stu's going to get a writing credit on this record too, actually, for lyrics and some of the melodies that man, like, so you know, Wags was he was so welcoming of that. I said, do you mind if I reach out to Stu? Do you mind if I reach out to Amanda? Or because I've known Genevieve now for a couple of years because I'm a big Temptress fan. So I messaged, and her husband's a killer rip. I love some of the riffing he comes up with. Great band, great people. I don't know them personally, but I've talked to them online like this and stuff, and well, like through Messenger and so forth. And I was excited to have people like that come in and bring their craft. Like, I'm a huge Temptress fan, like I was telling you, but I had to check with Wags first out of respect, you know. I mean, if I laid down a guitar solo and then Wags called me and said, "Hey, you're gonna get my buddy to come in and replace your solo," I'd probably so, but he was on board, man. I said, "How do you feel about bringing in some guest vocals? Like, let's layer the shit out of this. Let's get 3-4 layers of vocals." I mean, look at Queen's records, you know. Yeah. You ever listen to a Queen album? It sounds like an orchestra, man. There's like 8 layers of vocals. That didn't replicate 5, but people didn't care because it was fucking Queen. They sounded killer. So, you know, and I said to Wags, he said, we may have to play with backing tracks live. And I said, I don't want to play with backing tracks. I said, you know what? I can sing a little bit. I said, we'll make it work, you know, and let's just make the record as sonic as we can. Because once we're dead and gone and, you know, we're all dust in the ground, these records will live on, man. Someone one day will find these records somewhere on YouTube or whatever the fucking medium is that people are using in that time. And they'll be out there somewhere in the digital platform of space somewhere for someone to find, right? So anyway.
One of the great grandkids thrashing out to some Rectify, man, in bloody 100 years. That would be great to see, man. Look, when are you looking at roughly end of year for Dissecting the Leach, Christmas or something like that?
Yeah, that it'll probably be submitted. I would think probably by the beginning of June it would be sent to the label, like done, you know. But I don't know if you know this, but even Creator had to wait 6 months for their fucking pressing, like, and that's a big band. Like the pressing plants are very backed up. So,
I know.
You know, I knew that. So so we were at the mercy of that as well. So I'll have everything sent off by June, and then it'll be out of my hands and up to the label to resolve, right? Yeah. And this is the last record that we owe Doc Gator Records.
Okay.
There's another label that's kind of courting us, like Rectify for a possible multi-label deal.
Yep.
Which is awesome. Super fucking cool, man. 5 records deep, a lot of work, a lot of money spent, a lot of time put into this, and it's kind of almost next level.
I know people don't realize how much
it
work
doesn't
this stuff
matter.
takes, man.
Well, it's a lot of studio time. It's a lot of patience. You got to make time, especially if you're a professional person and you have a career and a life and shit. It's it's all consuming, and then it's not easy to make everything cohesive from the onset, because Wags is in Ohio and my drummer's in California and it's Greg's in California, so it's from the onset. Even if if something appears in my mind, I can see the onset and the finish of a song, from one fell swoop to the front to the back. I can't explain it to those guys. I have to, you know what I mean? We got to work it out. You hear it in your head, you hear what you're striving for, and you hope that at some point someone else within the confines of the band says, I know what you're trying to do. I know what you want. I know what we're going for, or they provide input and it manifests into something even better than what you envisioned. That's another thing that happens too with this stuff. But man, it's been a fucking good ride so far, and I'm really happy with the promotion that you've offered to this band through your medium, your show, man. You're a super good source of metal.
I always support Gutter Creek and Rectify, man. Always support you guys. Absolute pleasure, man. I've always got you back there with Rectify and with Gutter Creek, Matt, man. It's always a pleasure to chat with you about music and everything else you've got going on, my friend. Any last words, shout outs, or thank yous you'd like to add in there, mate?
Just thank you to all the fans who tune in, who take the time to message us or order a CD, a t-shirt, anything, vinyl, stickers, whatever. Well, we don't charge stickers. We throw them in whatever the order, but you know what I mean? Same as guitar picks.
As long as you put them on your local bus stop.
Put them up over top of the other band.
Everybody, that's it. Exactly.
The other guy's flyer. Yeah.
Fuck that guy. Gutter Creek, Rectify, everybody go get some, put it in the bloody stereos, turn it up bloody loud. I rest assured you will not be disappointed. Matt, thanks a lot, my friend.
Thanks, brother. Thanks.